Saturday's game at Balmoor lasted all of 21 minutes as referee Colin Stephen abandoned the game due to high winds and rain battering Balmoor. The Blue Toon came close after 4 minutes when Jamie Redmond shot over from a Rory McAllister cross. Annan looked to use the strong wind to their advantage, with Andy Mitchell looking to test Graham Smith from all of 45 yards. However, just after over 20 minutes and conditions deteriorating, the referee had a brief consultation with his near-side assistant and decided that the match could no longer be played.
Jim, what's your thoughts?
I thought if he's going to do that, he just shouldn't have started the game. I think it's a pretty impossible situation, really, and I feel sorry for him to a certain extent, but he should have maybe spoke to us and we could have advised him, or he could have come for a weather check, but it's not an easy situation, and he's a young referee, and even his haste and the way he just stopped it was maybe a wee bit disrespectful to the crowd to a certain extent, because as I said at the Albion Rovers game, I think there comes a point when the players are less relevant than the supporters, and although I don't think it was playable in a football sense, I think it doesn't really matter if the supporters are in and he started the game. I think he should try and finish the game, but to be honest, I don't think he should have started it. But once he does start it, I think he should try and see it through. No, I mean, it's just this one of the things. That isn't good conditions to play football in, and it is hard. It's hard for him. He's a young referee, but he was, even if he'd have said like, we'll give you 10 or 15 minutes and try to buy yourself some time, and he could have spoke to his supervisor and stuff like that, and he even spoke to the managers, but he just done it there and then.
Well, they actually did that. If like a League Cup game in England recently, Man United Stoke, I think it was, whereby the players came off.
Well, I done it last week in an English game. There was a storm come on, and I think it wasn't long to go, and they done it. So I just think they should just buy themselves a wee bit of time sometimes and use common sense. But you know, he's just a young, inexperienced guy, and it's not an easy one for him. But I don't know how many people were up for your hand in the day. Even if it's 10, it's still a hell of a. I know, but it's still a hell of a distance to come and watch your team, and maybe people should be paramount, you know. But anyway, that's the way it is.
Well, I think it got worse. I think that's the first thing. The weather got worse when the ref looked at it. When we first went out, we obviously was in doubt. We were concerned about the strength of the wind, but you looked at the forecast, thought it was going to get better. But unfortunately, it didn't. I didn't think it worsened. The game becomes a farce, but the most important people you've got to think of is the crowd and the fans. I think that's the key thing, you know, and also the players. But it just becomes a farce. You can't play in these conditions, and as much as we can say we're disappointed at the game getting called off, but I've got to back the ref and think it's the right decision. But maybe we shouldn't have started. But it hasn't got. You know, we can't predict the weather, and one thing you can't play in is the wind. But we've got to take into consideration the fans coming in. It maybe it could have been prevented, but nobody's to know that. To be fair, and when you see the game, all it literally a game of two halves. It was just it becomes a farce. The only thing is, that 20 minutes, I don't think we were taking advantage of the one behind us. So I was getting concerned with that. So, but nah, I spoke with Jim before it as well, and says we know that if the game starts, let it go. That was a key thing. Let it go. But I think, to be fair to the referee, it did get worse, and I don't think anybody can say it didn't. So he's got a decision to make about the spectacle. And if you consider the spectacle to the fans, maybe we should consider the fans before starting the spectacle. And it's getting that balance. It's not the first time probably will never be the last time either, and there's no easy solution to it. And if you look at every other factor contributing, it means then there'll be a midweek journey for everybody for Annan again as well, and the logistics of that and your players. And I know Jim had to come down with his squad midweek to us, and some players miss out as well. So it's never easy. Sometimes logistics in football don't make it that way, but aye, interesting. So. We've got the boys out training now, so they weren't prepared to train it, so we questioned, we want to play in it, so you want to train it, so get yourself out there and keep your fitness levels up. So now a tough decision with the ref, and everybody will be disappointed. I can understand that, but we've got to think maybe it could have been done before the game started. But I think you're all agreeing, everybody's agreeing, the weather did take a turn for the worse. So therefore, if you're asking me the right decision, my answer is yes. Maybe before, maybe we could have done it to consider a little bit else. So. But it's done now, and again, apologies for everybody, I can imagine, and even the young referees feel apologetic as well, so there's nothing you can do about it. You think about safety and everything else, and as a spectacle, it was just a farce. The game was a farce. So,
blessing in disguise for Annan, Jim, with the amount of players we had unavailable today.
Well, you can say that, Alan, but at the end of the day, it might be harder now because they're part-time and the logistics have come up midweek, so it depends who's going to be available for when we come back up again. So you don't know. No, you can't tell. We'll just have to cross that bridge when we come here. But I think everybody's disappointed, but at the end of the day, safety, spectacle, everything else, we'll just have to move forward.